a session called Using MicroOVN to Deploy and Maintain an OVN Cluster by Martin Pelcock from Canonical. So take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martin, and today I'd like to talk to you about MicroOVN and how it can be used to simplify deployment of a OVN cluster. You are all probably familiar with what goes into deploying OVN cluster, but just for the sake of completeness, here we can see how a deployment might look like. We have a central cluster on top where each node runs OVN northbound database, southbound database, and northeast service that transforms data between them. Then on the bottom, we have nodes that run open vSwitch instance and OVN controller that pulls data from the southbound database and configures its local switch accordingly. As you see and know, this is a lot of components to manage and configure, and this is where the MicroOVN can help. So what is MicroOVN and what does it do? It's a snap-based distribution of OVN and OVS packages. It exposes all the usual CLI commands that are normally used to interact with the services like OVN NBCTL, OVSDB client, and similar. So it does not limit your options for inspecting, configuring, and debugging of the running services. On top of that, it has its own MicroOVN daemon that is responsible for configuration of these underlying services. It automatically handles clustering and allows you to add or remove cluster members. And MicroOVN uses self-provision certificates to secure API and database endpoints and exposes commands for lifecycle management of these certificates. And of course, it continues the great naming and visual theme of OVN and its related projects. Now, to demonstrate usage of MicroOVN, I prepared a short demo. This is a simplified topology we'll be working with. It contains 3 hosts, and each will be running OVN central services and 1 OVN controller and 1 open vSwitch. So let's get into it. All right, so this is our demo setup, and we are starting with 3 empty boxes. So the first thing we are going to do is installing MicroOVN. We'll be driving the deployment from host number 1. So we'll bootstrap the cluster. Once the cluster is bootstrapped, we can start adding members. This will generate a magic token for us, which we can grab and take it to host number 2. And use it to join a cluster. The same thing can be done for host number 3, generate token, join the cluster. When this is done, we can check the status of our cluster. We can either do it from the point of view of the MicroOVN, which is the controlling daemon. And it shows us that we have 3 online members. Similarly, we can check the status of our clustered northbound database. Which shows that we have 3 servers and they are communicating over SSL. We can also check our chassis, and it shows that we have 3 chassis connected to our setup. So the one thing that MicroOVN allows us easily to do is to downscale or replace the member. So we can now kick, for example, host number 3 with MicroOVN cluster remove MicroOVN 3, where MicroOVN 3 is the host name of the host that's being kicked. And now that it's gone, we can check the status of our northbound cluster, which is now down to 2 members. Checking chassis shows that we have only 2 chassis in the system. Now, for the sake of completeness, let's add the host back in. We'll generate the token and MicroOVN cluster join with the token. Once connected, we can check the status. We are back to 3-member cluster. And checking chassis, we have 3 chassis in the system again. Another thing that MicroOVN allows you to do is the management of TLS certificates for the services. So we can run MicroOVN certificates list to see the list of all services that have been issued, list of all certificates for the services. We see the name of the service, we see the path of the certificate. We can check that it's there, and we can reissue the individual certificates with MicroOVN certificates reissue and the name of the service. In this case, it would be OVN NB. We get a successful confirmation, and checking the path again, we see that we regenerated a new certificate. This command also takes a magic keyword all, which is going to trigger a reissue of certificates for all the services that run on this host. Now, this command is completely local. It affects only the certificates and services that are on this host. And this is in contrast to another command, which is called MicroOVN certificates regenerate CA. That's going to trigger a generation of a new CA certificate, and it forces all the hosts in the cluster to reissue certificates for all their services that is now signed by the new CA. When we run this command, we get back a report from all the hosts. So host number 1, number 2, and number 3, all reporting success on regeneration or reissuement of their service certificates. And this would be it for the quick demo about MicroOVN. Let's get back to presentation. And this is where we stand now. We have just released our first stable version that's based on Open 2203. We have a build that's based on 2309 that's in the Edge channel right now, and we will be releasing 2403 as our next stable release. As for the upcoming features, at the moment we are focusing on minimizing impact of snap refreshes on control and data plane. Next, we will be providing a smooth upgrade story for existing MicroOVN deployments to upgrade to the next major OVN version. This is something that will be a manual operation, as MicroOVN will not attempt to upgrade to the next major version automatically. Another thing we want to add is a service placement, which will enable users to specify which services should run on which hosts. And lastly, we want to enable external provisioning of TLS certificates for services like Vault, for example, which would be an alternative to currently self-provisioned TLS certificates. And that's about it. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you are interested, please check out MicroOVN either on GitHub or in the Snap Store.
All right, thanks, Martin, for the presentation. And I see you're there as well, so you can answer some live questions. So I see you already have 2 questions. I think it's one about the demo where you showed the certificates. And someone asked, would it be of interest to show the certificate expiration date, if there is any?
Yeah, so there's some default for the certificate expiry. It may be interesting to add that as well, but the MicroOVN itself, it has a systemd timer service that regularly checks whether the certificates are nearing expiry, and if any of them are, it will automatically reissue the command for issuing either a individual certificate for the service, or if the CA is about to expire, it will regenerate the CA. Yeah, but adding more information is, of course, always useful. Thanks for the hint.
All right, cool. We have a next question. And it's from Frode. What do you mean by next major version upgrades? Are the upgrades not being done automatically?
The process of upgrading between the major OVS versions or OVN versions may include a database upgrade, which we've seen some problems with that in the past. So each major release of MicroOVN that tracks the corresponding OVN release is its separate track in Snap. That means that automatic Snap refreshes won't go to the next major release on its own. It will stay within the track, which follows the minor version upgrades. And if operator is interested in upgrading to the next major version, it requires manual commands to switch to a new channel, new track.
All right, thanks for that answer. And we have one final question from Vladislav. Do you have any plans to adopt OVN IC daemons to the MicroOVN?
Not at the moment. It's not currently on a short track for our features, but yeah, it definitely sounds like a feature that we would look into in the future.
All right, let me quickly check if there's anything in the chat window as well. No, it looks good. So thanks a lot, Martin, for your presentation, and we'll hope to see more of this maybe next year.